Alright, so this morning we are in Genesis chapter 18. This is the story of when God came to Abraham and he promised once again the birth of Isaac. If you remember, yesterday Abraham laughed. Well, today Sarah's going to kind of do the same thing. So, we'll let's read the story and see what it tells us. Now the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre. Now, he's talking about Abraham. And so here we see the Lord appeared to him. Before, I wasn't sure if it was a vision, okay, or if God really appeared to him. All right. I know there was a time or two when it said that God appeared to him in a vision, okay. But here, I think this is a different case. I think that there was actually a person that appeared to him, and you'll see what I mean here in just a minute. It says, now the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre while he was sitting at the tent door in the heat of the day. When he lifted up his eyes, he looked. Behold, 3 men were standing opposite him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them and bowed himself to the earth. Now I want you to notice, almost any time that a person has a meeting, okay, with any heavenly being, whether it's an angel or God or whatever, in the Bible there is this thing happens to them where they feel compelled to bow themselves down to the ground. Some of them throw themselves on the ground, and yet people go around writing books and being flippant about how they met with God or Jesus. And just so y'all know, those books are not true. They're lies. They're people making things up. Should stay away from books like that. You know, he goes on, so he bows himself to the earth, and he said, "My Lord." Now, so these were 3 men. Obviously, there was something about these 3 men that Abraham knew, that these weren't regular people, that these were, they looked like men, but he ran up to him and bowed himself down to him and called him Lord. He says, "My Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, please do not pass your servant by." So we know that Abraham, there was something about these 3 men that at least one of them looked like a Lord. One of them looked like God, he thought, Of course, nobody knows what God looks like, but there was something about them that made him realize that this was not just, a lot of people believe that this was Jesus incarnate, okay? So he goes on in verse 4, he says, "Please let a little water be brought and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, and I will bring a piece of bread, that you may refresh yourself. After that you may go, since you have visited your servant." And they said, "So do as you have said." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said, "Quickly prepare 3 measures of fine flour, knead it, and make bread cakes." Abraham also ran to the herd and took a tender and choice calf, and gave it to the servant, and he hurried to prepare it. He took curds and milk. I'm not sure what curds are. Does the note say, Waylon? I'm not sure what curds are. It makes me think of curdled milk, but I don't know if that's what it is. Maybe it's cottage cheese. I don't know. So it says, he took curds and milk and the calf, which he had prepared, and placed it before them. And he was standing by them under the tree as they ate. Now, a spirit doesn't eat. A vision usually doesn't eat. These guys ate. So I would see there was something, they looked real to them. Also, 2 of these guys are going to end up talking with Lot and his wife, and they're going to be in physical contact with them. So I would say they were manifesting human bodies in some way. Then verse 9 goes on, he says, "Then they said to him, 'Where is Sarah, your wife?' And he said, there in the tent, he said, I will surely return. So the main person talking says, he says, I will surely return to you at this time next year, and behold, Sarah your wife will have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent door, which was behind him. When Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. Sarah was past childbearing. Sarah laughed to herself, saying, after I have become old, shall I have pleasure my Lord being old also? And the Lord said to Abraham, why did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I indeed bear a child when I am so old? Is anything too difficult for the Lord? And that's the question. When you're going through hard times, that's the question you need to ask yourself. Is anything too difficult for the Lord? Guys, I don't care how old a woman is. I don't care how old a man is. I don't care what the circumstances are. God can do anything. There is nothing that is too hard for God. The only thing that God can't do is something that goes against his nature. And it's not against his nature to create, okay? He can't lie, okay? He can't create a stone so big that he can't pick up. He can't cause you to sin or tempt you to sin. God can't go against his own nature. It's not possible. In the same way, a human being can't go against their own nature because they were created in God's image. Okay? Is anything too difficult for the Lord? Remember that. Verse 14, underline it, highlight it, but ask yourself that question when you're facing a hard time, when you need to come to the realization, even if something bad is happening to you, you need to know that God is totally, sovereignly in control. Satan can do nothing to you that God doesn't allow to happen. And if you don't believe that, go read Job. Satan could do nothing to Job that God didn't allow. God is still sovereignly in control, knows exactly everything that happens. And if somebody is beating you up, he is still giving that person breath so they're able to do it. And why that doesn't mean he's causing them to do it. He isn't even tempting them to do it. Okay? And he will only let Satan go as far. And the person doing it is controlled by Satan, obviously. But God will only let them go so far. Maybe that is the time when God decides it's your time to go home. Bring you home. Jesus died in a terrible way too, for your sins. Okay, remember that. The world is going to hate us because we are servants of Christ. The world does hate us. And he goes on, he says, at the appointed time I will return to you at this time next year, and Sarah will have a son. Sarah denied it, however, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh. Then the men rose up from there and looked down toward Sodom, and Abraham was walking with them to send them off. The Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Since Abraham will surely become a great and mighty nation, and in him all the nations of the earth will be blessed. Once again, we see this. It wasn't just his nation. It wasn't just his descendants. Once when it says all the nations of the earth will be blessed, okay? This was for everyone, okay? All those that would receive a gift of faith, all those who live by faith, all those who believe, all those who trust, okay? All those who receive Christ. For I have chosen him so that he may command his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring upon Abraham what he has spoken about him. And the Lord said, the outcry of Sodom and Gomorrah is indeed great, and their sin is exceedingly grave. I will go down now and see if they have done entirely according to its outcry, which has come to me. And if not, I will know. Then the men turned away from there and went towards Sodom, while Abraham was still standing before the Lord. So two of the men, who I would suggest were angels, left and went on towards Sodom, and the Lord was still there with Abraham. Abraham came near and said, "Will you indeed sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you indeed sweep it away, and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous and the wicked are treated alike. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth deal justly?" So the Lord said, "If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare the whole place on their account." And Abraham replied, "Now behold, Lord, although I am but dust and ashes, suppose the 50 righteous are lacking 5. Will you destroy the whole city because of 5? And he said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 there." He spoke to him again and said, "Suppose 40 are found there." And he said, "I will not do it on account of the 40. Then he said, "Oh, may the Lord not be angry, and I shall speak. Suppose 30 are found there." And he said, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." And he said, "Now behold, I have ventured to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found." And he said, "I will not destroy it on account of 20. Then he said, "Oh, may the Lord not be angry, and I shall speak only once. I shall speak only this once. Suppose 10 are found there." And he said, "I will not destroy it on account of the 10. As soon as he had finished speaking to Abraham, the Lord departed, and Abraham returned to his place. Now, is it possible that there were any righteous there? Not in and of themselves, okay? There is none righteous. We know that. The Bible says there is none righteous, right? In Romans. Also, if we go back to Genesis 6, right? It tells us very plainly that there was none righteous. I mean, the very intent. Genesis 6, verse 5, it says, "Then the Lord saw the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and that every intent of the thought of his heart was only evil continually." But this is the thing: God has always kept, in the time of Abraham, or not Abraham, the time of Elijah. In the time of Elijah said to God, he said, "They've killed all your prophets and they're trying to kill me." And God said no. He said, "I have kept 7,000 men who have not bowed their knee to Baal." But you have to understand, he didn't say 7,000 men have kept themselves from bowing their knee to Baal.
That was 700.
Was it 700?
I thought so.
I don't know. I might be wrong then. I always think it was 7,000. I have someone else's Bible here. It was on my shelf over here.
I'll be right.
So I don't have it highlighted. I'm have to think for a minute exactly where it is. It's in Romans, and it's also in the Old Testament. I'm not positive where it is, but I believe it was 7,000, Beth. But anyway, it might be 700, but I think he said 7,000. One of you guys could Google it on your phone, and then we'd know. Is it 7,000? Yeah. It's 7,000. But that sounds like a lot to us guys, but think how great the nation was. I mean, this nation was several million people large. I mean, it was huge. And out of those millions of people, only 7,000 men were God. But this is my point I want to make. Those 7,000, God didn't say that those 7,000 kept themselves from bowing their knee to Baal. He said, I have kept them. He said it very plainly. He said, He has kept them from bowing. And there has always been a remnant of those that God has given a gift of faith to. That God has, I mean, and if you want to go back and you look at the line of Jesus, there was some there, but Noah, okay, is one. Enoch was one. Methuselah was dead, you know. Abel, of course, he was killed by his brother Cain, but there was always some. And when we go, the doom of Sodom is the next one, and you will find out that that God considers Lot to be a righteous man. Okay, could there be 10 people there? There could be, but not of their own righteousness. And God knew that. I mean, if there was even 10 people there, God would not destroy the place for the 10 people. He wouldn't have to. He could knock everybody dead but those 10 people if he wanted to. Does that make sense? God can do whatever he wants to. But God knew before he ever went down there, he knew that there wasn't 10 people there. Okay? And it ended up the only people that walked out of that place was Lot and his 2 daughters and his wife didn't even make it to safety. She died because she looked back. She put her hand to the plow and looked back and longed for the sin that she used to have. She longed to be there in that wicked, sinful place, and God destroyed her and killed her. Okay? So, God is going down there, and this story, the way it's put together, do you think God didn't know how many people were there that were righteous? No, he knew. This is a figure of speech, but God knew. God knew who were his, who he had given a gift of faith, who had kept them, who he had kept from bowing their knee to sin and living in sin. And also the next chapter is also, once again, I will talk about it when we get to it tomorrow. It's about the doom of Sodom. It's about the sin of Sodom, what Sodom did there. And so we'll talk about that tomorrow. Does anybody got anything to say? Surely something.
I think it's kind of crazy how Abraham kept asking.
He kept asking. And
why didn't he just go to lower increments instead of 10?
5.
Why didn't he just go straight to 10 the first time? Or
I
say
don't know.
1?
I don't know.
Testing his ground.
Yeah, maybe he was testing his ground. Maybe he didn't know for sure what he could get away with. Maybe
he wanted to see if the Lord was patient.
Maybe he wanted to see if God would really save the city for 10 righteous people. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I believe if there was 5 righteous, if God wanted to, he would save it. Okay. That being said, maybe, if in all honesty, if you're righteous, if you have the righteousness of Christ in you, you should be longing to see heaven. You should be if you are righteous, although I hope God doesn't allow me to die in a terrible, painful way, but Jesus did. I'm no better than Jesus, but I'm nowhere near as great as he is. So if he died in a terrible, painful way, I should expect to do the same. Jesus said, if the world hates me, it will hate you. All but John, all the apostles but John died in a terrible way. Okay? So, if there had been righteous there and they had died, they would have just gone to heaven. Okay? They wouldn't have gone to a bad place or something. Anyway, so we should just know from this that God is sovereignly in control. So, Wyatt, thanks for putting the Bible over here where I could use it.
You're welcome.
Somehow mine stayed on my desk. All right. Let's close in prayer and we'll get our day started. It's already
7:30.
7:35. Alright, let's pray. Father God, thank you for this day. Lord, I thank you for being with us through the night. Lord, I thank you for your word. Lord, I thank you for your Son who died for us, for the salvation that you've given us. Lord, I just thank you for all that you do. I know we take for granted all the time. Lord, I pray that you be with us today and help us to get the things done we need to do. Lord, I pray your blessing on the preaching of your call that's coming in. Lord, I just pray that, Father, that you would reach the hearts of those that are going to be listening, that you would prepare them, that you would open their minds to understand the scriptures. Lord, I pray that you would just you would teach all of us. Lord, I pray that your will would be done, that you would put us where you want us to be and help us to be willing to go where you want us to be. Lord, I just ask that you help us to the things we say and do bring glory to you and not us. Lord, I ask that you be with us today. Help us to get the things done we need to do. Forgive us where we fail. In Jesus'